Welcome.
Welcome to Verified Therapist. It's Kate.
And this is Autumn.
And bear with us because this is our very first episode. Been a lot of practice runs.
A lot of lighting and angles and phones propped up on things that are not very trustworthy.
Internet going out right before this.
We're doing it though. We're doing it. We made it here.
We have. So this is a podcast about pop culture and therapy.
And two very different things.
Very important. And we intentionally did this to start a couple of days before Vanderpump Rules premieres, season 11.
Oh yeah, because we're following that.
Yes, we
are.
From
the beginning.
So this episode might air after the first episode airs, but we're definitely going to talk about it the next time we meet up on the podcast.
Yeah. And I just can't wait. I can't wait. It's like Christmas Eve. You know, Bravo's been playing all the Vanderpump Rules episodes, and I've just been binging them, even though I've seen them 100 times. Doesn't matter.
Making me really giddy. They're showing little clips of the new season on their TikTok and getting us ready for it.
Sometimes I worry that I'm going to watch all these little clips, and then the first episode's just going to be all the little clips that we've watched, and then I'm already going to know. But hopefully it'll have some new stuff in there that I haven't shown on TikTok as teasing.
Yeah, they better. They better not show it all.
I'm just wondering how quick it all will pick up, but we'll see.
We shall see. I mean, Lala said we're going to be split, and I don't know what she means by split. Are we going to be split on what, Lala?
Because there's no way I'm split on Tom. There's no way.
Absolutely not. I mean, there's no redeeming Tom Sandoval.
No. Well, we'll see. Watch us be like, at the end of the season, no, there's no redeeming him. I would be surprised if we get to the end of the season and we're like, well, I kind of see Tom. No.
I don't think it's going to happen.
We're done with you, Sandoval.
Well, do you want to go into the weekly highs and lows?
Tell us about your highs and lows of the week.
We're going to try this segment on here. It's going to be the weekly highs and lows. We're going to go through that. So, I don't know. I have two really big lows. So, we're going to start off with the negative and then go to the positive. So, the first really big low was my aunt texted me and said that she got us Eras tour tickets because her friend got us tickets. Come to find out, my aunt's friend was scammed. So no Eras tour tickets for November.
The ultimate betrayal. Ultimate betrayal.
I got really excited. So very heartbreaking to find that out. And then also the next low is we were going to do a practice run on Friday, and I was digging through a box and I cut my finger on a nail and had to go to urgent care to get a tetanus shot.
This was all within 24 hours.
Yeah, literally 24 hours. The no Eras tour and then cutting my finger on a nail.
A roller coaster. I'm just glad you went and got a tetanus shot.
It's really painful. We've all gotten tetanus shots because we had to for school. Mm-hmm. But I didn't remember them being this painful.
Do you have a knot under your arm? Like where you got it? Sometimes people get knots.
Yeah,
sounds terrible. You do?
Yeah. I did not realize that. I mean, it's really stiff through here, but I also just now noticed that there is a knot under the skin. That's disgusting.
I think it's kind of wild that tetanus is, that makes your muscles stiff, but then you get the shot and you feel stiff. Are you giving me a shot of tetanus?
Isn't that what a vaccine is? It's like a strand of whatever you're fighting against. I don't know.
So I guess you probably got a little bit of tetanus in you now.
Yeah. I mean, Google the symptoms of tetanus and then tell me if you want tetanus ever.
Tell me it's not the scariest thing that you've ever Googled in your life.
That was horrifying when I was questioning whether or not I should go get a tetanus shot. And then I Googled the symptoms and I was like, nope.
Yeah, because you were like, I don't think I'm going to go. And I was like, I want to think about that.
I think this. Yeah. Well, the highs for the week is, I'm just going to say Taylor Swift wearing curly hair today. That is the high for the week for me.
Shout out to the natural curly haired queens, because I feel like that those were natural, 100%.
I mean, it's raining there too, so I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah, so there was no point in her straightening her hair. Good for her. making a statement for all the curly-haired girls out there. I feel her pain.
For sure. And since we're on this topic, I don't know, is the Chiefs game over? Did they win? Last I looked, it was 17-7 with like 7 minutes left.
Do a quick little goog. It's 17-10. Final. 17-10 final. So the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl.
Heck yeah, we're going to see Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl.
And what is that? Well, I guess we will. Her first concert of her next leg is the 10th, and the Super Bowl's on the 11th.
She'll be in Tokyo.
Yeah, so is she going to fly back for the Super Bowl? Because she doesn't have a concert on the 11th.
That would be a lot. That's a
lot.
That is an international trip.
But she's mad in love, so how are you going to be mad in love and not come support him at the Super Bowl? You know what I'm saying?
And she's got a PJ.
I feel like she'll do it. I feel like she'll do it.
I said that to Josh earlier. I was like, I saw the Kelsey family getting off the PJ. He said, what the hell is a PJ?
Vanderpump Rules education.
Yes. What are your highs and lows for the week?
I don't really have any like big ones. I didn't cut my finger on anything. I didn't get fake tickets, anything like that. I think my low happened this morning, and it's a very first world low. So I'm counting my blessings, or however you want to call it. But I woke up this morning and was craving iced coffee super bad. I don't know if you've ever had Sonic's French vanilla iced coffee.
Mm-mm.
When they make it right, it's good. It's all I wanted. I had deleted DoorDash off my phone because I'm not DoorDashing anything, but I was re-downloading DoorDash for this Sonic iced coffee. I want it so bad. And it got here, and it tasted god-awful.
Ugh.
I've never tasted anything worse.
Was the ice melted?
No, the ice was fine, but the coffee tasted like it had been... I don't know if they use coffee in a coffee pot, but it tasted like it had been sitting there forever.
Stale coffee.
Yeah, and no flavoring, but the stale coffee. So, yeah, that put me down in a hole for about a couple of hours.
I mean, that would put me down, too.
Yeah.
I'm not an iced coffee person, but in any kind of coffee, I'm very controversial because I hate Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Oh, no, me too. It's like creek water.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It always tastes burnt to me.
Yeah.
It has this...
I'm not big on it at all. Have you had 7 Brew?
I have not.
7 Brew, I've only had their blonde chiller from there. So it's a cold. So if you're not big into cold, you might not like it. It's kind of like a shaved ice situation. 7 Brew is so good, though. It's so good. Probably my top coffee place.
I have Scooters by my house, and I still haven't been to Scooters. So
You need to try Scooters. So that was my low. We'll end on a high, though. My high, which can be construed as a low, but I feel like it's a high, is I got to work a full week in the office. I lost sleep on doing that. So that was a little bit of a low in that. But I don't do well when I work from home. I had COVID 2 weeks ago, and then we had a bunch of ice and snow, so I couldn't go into the office. And I don't do well working from home because I live alone, and I don't talk to anybody. I talk for work, but I don't see people. I don't interact. It's just me and Max. So
just you and the pup.
Yeah. And so I get really depressed because I'm just in the house a lot. By the time ice and snow were off and I was done with COVID, I was ready to be back in person. So as exhausting as it was, I was glad to be back in office seeing people because it's just hard.
You had to socialize.
I'm very extroverted. I get a lot of my energy from being around other people. So
kind of a mix of both. What did we call that in school? Like omnivert or ambivert? Yeah. It just depends on the situations. I mean, I do my sleep time on the weekends. I literally love to just sleep and read and eat on the weekend.
Recharge. Yeah.
That's how I recharge. But then there's some weekends where I'm just like texting all my friends, can we please hang out?
Yeah. Let's do something immediately.
Please just go to Nashville for the day.
Yeah. Oh, so fun. Yeah, do something to get out of the apartment or the house for a little bit. Yeah, I was glad. And I have a hard time with telehealth, too, with clients. It's great for some clients. Some clients you do really well. They engage really well. But for some clients, they just need that in person to really feel, because some clients do it from home and they don't feel comfortable saying what they want to say when they're at home with their family.
I have clients that go into a room and put a sound machine on, but then they still don't feel 100% that someone's not listening at the door to their conversation.
Right.
Completely.
Right. Yeah. So just a safe place in my office for me, for me to just go in there and be.
Do you have a super cozy office?
So I work out of 2 offices, and one of the offices is unnaturally big. So that doesn't feel as cozy. I've done what I can to do good lighting and things like that. It's just too big, so it's okay, but it's not great. And then my other one's kind of smaller, so that one's more cozy, and it has like pastel colors and, again, really good lighting and a nice window. So one of them is okay. Best I could do with what I got.
Yeah. I think the vibes, beautiful day outside and there's a lot of light, then I'll do it out there. But
Right.
a lamp, but if I turn this overhead light on, it is so harsh.
Yeah, it's too aggressive.
Yeah. And then the same thing at my office, my in-person office. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
The overhead lighting is very harsh and honestly makes me nauseous. So I can't imagine how it is for clients. But I have 2 lamps with the warm lighting, and then you get all the decorations, the therapy decorations, and then put a blanket and lots of pillows on the couch.
Yeah.
That's how you make it a vibe.
That was like my favorite part of when I first became a therapist, was I get to make this space good for my clients, because our overhead lights are the same. They're like fluorescent lights that'll blind you. And I'm like, who wants to be sitting there talking about their trauma and crying with a fluorescent light in your face? Nobody. I feel like you have to set up a good vibe from the beginning.
Especially if you're going to be there for 8 hours a day.
Because the vibe has to be good for us too, Has to feel comfortable for us too. Or just annoyed that our lights are not what we need them to be.
Completely pissed off and a client comes and sits down. We have to breathe for a second.
Yeah, we're going to do this meditation at the beginning. It's not for you, it's for me. I don't care if you need it, I need it.
Close your eyes.
Yeah. Listen to this nice music for 10 minutes.
Do you do meditation with your clients?
Yeah, I think it depends. Some of them I can just tell that they're automatically like, no, this is dumb. So we talk about different activities and stuff to meditate. But there's several that I'll in-session meditations with, and kind of teach them how to do it. And for some clients, especially the ones that have a really hard, because, it's a discipline. Like, disciplining your mind to meditate, it's a muscle that you have to work at. So the clients who have a really hard time, but they're open to it, I'll try to do it pretty often with them. What about you?
Yeah, I do it sometimes. It just depends. Like you said, there's some clients that are not open to it at all. And then others who have been, I can't get my mind to shut off. So we do some thought stopping techniques to see if that helps. Right. But then there's some people, and I'm convinced some people's brains are just not built for meditation.
Well, and 2, you have to think based on their diagnosis, because if they have a diagnosis where they have auditory hallucinations, if you go to meditate with them, that's all they're hearing and that's all they're focusing on. So that's not really meditative for them. A lot of times that causes more stress. So you really have to tailor it to if that's what the client needs or not.
I've seen clients that will fall asleep. I had that when I was doing telehealth in my internship, and we would do 5-minute meditation. It would be right after people would come home from work. And so they would be sitting in their bed, and then all of a sudden you just see. So when the meditation was over, you'd have to clap and be like, hey, everybody, wake up.
If I have group, sometimes I'll do meditations in group, but I really have to see where the group is at that day, because both of my groups are the same way. They're later in the afternoon. And if they're already tired, we're not doing meditation. We got to do something to wake us up a little bit. Do you want to talk about how we came up with the podcasting idea and why we're all here?
So I think how we came up with this was kind of a joke. So something would happen in the pop culture world, or in work world, and we would just text each other and be like, we need to talk about this on the pod, just as a joke. And then eventually it started getting more and more serious, and then we started playing around with that idea to our friends, and then our friends were like, oh, that's actually a good idea. And we were like, it is?
Okay. All right.
So here we are.
Yeah.
We're recording the first episode after years of talking about this.
And it's kind of funny because all of those things, we probably don't remember half of those things. So half those things probably won't make it on the actual pod, but but we did. It started off as a joke.
In the pop culture world.
Oh my God. Yes. It's really the stuff that we follow on a regular basis. It's just, there's no way we can keep up with all of it.
Absolutely not. So do you want to talk about how we met?
Yeah. Okay. Generally speaking, we went through the same grad school program.
Yes.
I am a little bit biased, but I think that we had a top-notch grad school program.
We
Like,
did.
I feel like I would not have chosen to go anywhere else.
It was the
I
best.
loved our professors. Yeah, I loved our professors. I loved everybody that we went to school with. They really focused on self growth as much as the academics of it, which I think is important as a therapist, that you are a client and you know what that's like and you know how to go through that process. So I think that we had a bomb grad school program.
We did. I think we had the best ones. And also when I talk to other therapists who didn't go through our program, their
Mm-hmm.
insight is very different from ours. And in a sense, not to brag, but there's some
Yeah.
things that I'm just like, we
Mm-hmm.
taught this in grad school and they were like, oh, I had to learn this on my own.
Right.
Like,
Right.
what kind of program did you go through? Because I feel like this is
Yeah.
you should have learned in grad
Should
school.
have learned in grad school. Yeah.
Yeah, but they had to just teach themselves on their own, or they
Mm-hmm.
learned it in CEUs.
Right. Which a lot of this job is you learn on the job.
Mhm.
But I feel like that we got such a good foundation. By the time I got done with grad school, I was ready to be done with school. But I was so sad to be done with grad school.
Yeah,
It was sad because we got to go to class and see all of our friends and get that support. And we were kind of going through this really hard. It's hard. Being a therapist is hard. Getting into therapy is hard. And so we were all kind of in that boat together. And so, we've kept up with people from grad school, but it's just not the same.
no, definitely not. And I remember at graduation, which you missed, I was so sad that you weren't there.
I know. I was sad too after it was over. I was like, I made that decision, but then not a good decision. Sad.
At graduation, when we were lining up before we walked onto the field, Dr. Jenkins was there. And there's a picture, and she came up to me and she started crying and we're hugging, and she was whispering in my ear, "You're going to be so amazing and change so many people's lives," and gave me this sweet pep talk and was making me sob, and it's making me emotional right now. But that was the kind of professors that we had. They were
so supportive. I remember, because I always think about this when I think of Dr. Jenkins. My last supervision class, I would always get so nervous. And I'm still like this now. Like, I don't have a lot of confidence sometimes. I think we all go through the imposter syndrome and stuff. But I would show the video and I would, this is not great. And I remember the last criticism, not even that she gave me, was like, I don't know why you're acting like you don't know how to do this. You know how to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And I would remember being like, I don't know. I didn't really realize I came off that unknowing of how to do this. But she was, you're fine. You know what you're doing. And for her to say that, or one of our professors to say, okay, maybe I know a little bit of what I'm doing, That's another thing that I respected about our program, is that if we're not, they were good gatekeepers. If you were not meant to be in that profession and they could see that, they would,
very gently.
how would you say it?
I would say gently let you
know. Yeah, they would gently let you know, which is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be gatekeepers. So that's what they were taught to do and supposed to do.
That class was so much fun, which, was it our practicum that we started out in together, or was it?
I think it was practicum because we tried to stay with the same people every time.
Yeah. So we went practicum and then 2 internship classes.
And you get real, close with those people, or I felt like you did, because we have to video ourselves doing therapy and then show it for people to criticize.
Yes.
In the best way. You're essentially allowing yourself to be vulnerable and suck at something and let people see that.
Just showed, you tried to show the highlights and everything, but also you wanted to show the sucky parts and the parts where you stuck and didn't know what to say or what to do. And that's how you learn and grow from those situations. But there's a lot of those moments where I was cringing so hard watching myself and then show it to the class and then watching everyone in the class
cringe as well.
Sometimes they would cringe, and then sometimes people would just, okay, you did that really good. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Like, did I do that good?
Yeah. And then Hannah would come in and, maybe this is where you can improve.
Yeah. Everybody else is saying that you did really well. And I'm not saying that you did it, but I'm saying that maybe you could do this.
And I had that with Hannah for 2 years after that because she was my supervisor.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I think our program was so awesome, was because you could reach out to those professors if you wanted one of them to be your supervisor, because most of them did supervision. And I reached out to Hannah and I was like, hey, can you be my supervisor? I don't know if you remember me,
who I am.
She was like, I mean, you just got out of my class 2 weeks ago. Of course, I remember who you are.
So much time had passed. But you know what? I honestly feel like if we reached out to any of them now, 3 years later, they would find a way to help us. Very supportive.
Super supportive, even if they were scary at first. I remember being so terrified of Dr. Pence.
Yeah, me too, because she knows what the heck she's doing.
She does. And she's also got the military background and everything, so she comes off as very assertive. She's very strict, but strict in a sense, like, she will tell you if you're doing something wrong, but it's not intentions to hurt your feelings. It's intentions to make you do better and be the best that you can. Because she can see your potential better than I think anyone else can.
100%. And I think that's another good part about all of our professors. They instilled in us the seriousness of our job. And I think that that's something that a lot of maybe, again, not to brag, but a lot of programs that I've noticed don't always instill that all the time. But we have a very serious job. We take it very seriously. Yeah. We take the space that we hold for people very seriously. And I think that goes to them. And, you know, they were very serious about, we want you to do better because you could hurt people if you don't. That's always now in the back of my head. You don't want to ever hurt someone by not paying attention to what you're doing or being negligent or anything like that.
And because we've seen it with other therapists that probably didn't go through the program. And clients come to us and they say things that a therapist has done, and we're like, because, I mean, there have been times, you know, it's been really quiet in a session, and all I hear is myself, okay, I should probably say something. But then I hear Dr. Jenkins, and Dr. Jenkins pops up in my head, and she's like, hold the silence!
Yeah. Be comfortable with silence.
Yes.
Be comfortable with silence. We had to do in the very beginning. Do you remember when we took techniques class in the very beginning, we had to transcript everything?
Yes.
Yeah. We had to write transcripts of every single thing that we said, thing that we did for 10 minutes of our sessions. But that really taught me how uncomfortable I was sitting in silence for a long time. I was just trying to fill that space. But the client might be processing what you're saying, processing their emotions. And so that was also what Dr. Jenkins, where she was like, no, be quiet. But it's a skill that you need to have.
Yeah. What led us to be counselors?
Who wants to start that one off? That's a fun topic.
I'll start. In undergrad, I majored in criminology and psychology, and I honestly wanted to do forensic psychology, but that didn't start.
Me too. I wanted to do that for a split second too.
That didn't start until I think the program started at the last semester or the last couple of semesters before. And I remember taking a class, and they were like, if you want to do forensic psychology, here is some things. And I looked it up, did some more research. They showed me a bunch of different things. And pretty much some of it was looking at dead bodies. And they actually showed me pictures of things that I would be looking at. And I said, no,
bye.
I can't do that.
Respectfully. Shout out to all the forensic psychologists, because it could be us.
And I think a lot of it is, when you look at forensic psychology, a lot of it is law and doing different kind of lawyer stuff. A lot of it is. But then there's also the piece of it where you have to look at dead bodies, and I can't do that.
Well, and just imagine, I am terrified of court. Me and my one speeding ticket, no, absolutely not. I was terrified when I went into court for that. So as a forensic psychologist, you were probably in court all of the time.
Can't do that. So that was what I wanted to do. I also wanted to, for a little bit, I wanted to interview serial killers and kind of get into their minds and kind of do some like Mindhunter-esque situation.
That would be so cool. Yeah.
So have you watched that?
Oh, yes. I love mine.
Oh my gosh.
Really
good.
That it did not have a longer run than it would have had.
It was amazing. But that was what I wanted to do. And then I graduated and started doing case management and worked out of foster care. And then I realized I was hitting a wall with a bunch of these kids that I was trying to help, because there's only so much you can do as a case manager. You literally just meet with them and give stuff to the social worker, and you fill out paperwork.
It's a lot of resource connection.
Yeah, and there was just a lot of kids that were coming to me and with severe trauma in those cases. And I was like, I don't even know what to say to you right now. You're telling me a super traumatic thing, and all I can do is be here and be present for you. And being the therapist, now I know that that's one of the biggest things that you can do is just
Right.
really be that support system. But I felt like I needed to do more for them. So I went into
Yeah.
grad school with the goal of helping kids.
Oh, you started
Yeah.
off with kids.
With super traumatic parents and their experiences with these parents that were in addictions and all of this stuff. And I ended up leaving grad school working in addictions so I could work with the parents to be there for their kids. So I got my addiction certificate. In grad school, in our grad program, there was different concentrations, and one of the concentrations was addiction. So, and now I'm not in addictions anymore, but I still work, even in working in private practice now, you still see addiction.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It's so prevalent. I don't think that there's any population that you can work with that you don't need a little bit of knowledge of addiction or substance use at all.
Yeah. And it's helped so much because also, you know, I have clients whose parents were pretty much like the kids I had in foster care, but maybe like 10 years older now. And I'm able, with my knowledge of addiction that I learned in grad school and the 2 years that I was working in addictions, be able to help them now. So in a way, it's kind of come full circle back to what I originally wanted to do. So, except I learned that I don't necessarily like working with kids under the age of 16.
Yeah. It's funny how you learn things like that when you start working in it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, majority of my caseload when I was a case manager was 16 plus. There was a few of them that were younger than that. But even when you work with foster kids, even some of those kids, when they're like 12, 13, they've gone through so much shit in their entire life that their age is probably older than that or younger than that, depending on the situation.
Developmentally.
Yeah. If they're 12, but they had to raise their 4 younger siblings, more than likely they feel like they're 18, 19.
Right. So they've had to be the adult in those situations. Those are tough ages too. The adolescent age, because that's just a hard time of development, I think. You know, we can all think back to like middle school, and you could not pay me to go back to middle school. Working in that age group takes a special person. Not that you were not a special person. You could have 100% done it, but it's hard work. In this profession, you learn your niche. Yeah. That was not it for me, especially after going from working with solely adults for like 3 years of my career, then going back to working with kids. You were like, no. Girly pop. And I was like, what? Did you just call me girly pop? Sorry, what? Now they're calling you bruh every 2 seconds? Yeah. Literally telling me that I dress like a high school theater teacher. You said the TH for theater teacher, and I really thought you were about to say thought. And I was like, that's so rude. It's so rude to say that you dress like that. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. Some of these kids are savages. They're honest. I'll give them that. Yeah. They'll be saying, as they say, out of pocket things. We're so old. We're not even 30 yet. We're like, we don't know what you guys are saying. If I wasn't on TikTok, I wouldn't know what they were talking about half the time. Yeah. TikTok keeps me young. I'll never delete TikTok because I'll be 25 forever as long as I have it. 25 is like, this is a segue. We're segueing. We're not segueing. We're going to come back. But I feel like 25, I was thinking about this in the shower earlier. I feel like 25 is like my prime age. Like if my soul is going to stay at any age, it's going to be 25. Age. I mean, your brain is fully developed by that. I mean, you don't just like wake up and, I mean, I don't know. Did you have a moment where you was like, oh shit, my brain's fully developed? I don't think I did, but I think I had like a 2-year span where I was like, stuff does not matter as much as I thought it mattered. And like, I feel more clear. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. Hello, Binks. Binks has made an appearance. I love him. How much does he weigh? Too much for a cat. Oh, don't say that around him. You're going to give him a complex. No, all of my animals are anxious, which I think says a lot about me. As a person. Vinks was on clonidine for a minute because he was so anxious and he was licking all of his fur off. Max does that. Max is a dog, but he bites his tail because he gets so anxious. I mean, our animals have been through a lot, but I mean, it's still. Yes.
They have. I mean, Binks and Millie have been through a tornado, moving multiple times, Millie going on the run for 16 days.
Oh, I forgot about that. She did do that. Who knows what she saw out there in the world?
Yeah, she was on the streets for 16 days. But like the streets of where we live is dangerous.
Rough. It's rough out here.
She was on a construction site for something. And then was like running by the interstate.
She's not meant for that.
She's not, because the first time it got cold was when she came home. It literally froze over that night. Yeah. And then
she was like, "This is my sign. I'm not made for the streets." She was like, "I'm out."
She wanted her sweater, the biggest.
Spoiled.
Yes. Well, we'll get to why did you become a counselor?
This is so funny. So when I decided I wanted to be, I don't know that it was necessarily therapist. But in the mental health world, I was literally like 12 years old. And this ties into the podcast too. I was watching Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew. And I was like, I love this. I think I want to do this 100%. And that's what I wanted to do since 12. But then I got to school during undergrad, kind of had a midlife crisis at the good age of 21 and left school. I think it was my sophomore year. I left and went and got a medical assisting degree. Don't know why I did that. Did not want to do that at all. Then I saw everybody graduate from school and I was like so sad because that's where I wanted to go to school at forever. So I was like so upset. So then I went back and I got my undergrad in sociology and clinical and behavioral health. I think it was a really long minor, but I wasn't going to go to grad school until my last semester when my professor was like, "You're going to grad school, right?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "You really should consider going to grad school." And I was like, I mean, I'll think about it, but I don't think I'm going to. So I literally applied just to that one school. If I get in, then I'll go. Then that means I'm smart enough because I had a lot of validation stuff of I'm not smart enough to do this. So if I get in, then that's where I'm going. And I got in. Wouldn't do anything different, but it was a long journey.
I mean, and the professors at our school are very, are you going to grad school?
Mm-hmm. You're going to grad school? Well, there was nothing you could really do like a sociology bachelor's level degree either.
Yeah.
You would have had to go to grad school for something.
Yeah. To make enough money to survive.
Yeah.
A lot of those degrees only pay. I think when I first started as a case manager, it was $24,000 a year.
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's not a lot.
If I wasn't at that time 22 living with my parents, wouldn't have made it.
You don't make a lot. I mean, mental health, if you go into mental health anyways, do not expect six figures right off the bat. I'm just going to warn everybody. If you're doing like supervision and stuff, you're just not going to make a ton. So I hope you're in it because you love it. Yeah, like with bachelor's level, it's really hard. It's an underpaid role for sure.
I think by the time I left, I was maybe making 30, maybe.
Yeah.
That job was very rewarding. So it was worth it at the time, but I did have to live with my parents to be able to.
Yeah. I did a similar job like when I was in grad school at the company that I'm at now. And you get a lot of experience from doing those like out in the community and resource connection jobs that you can use in the therapy office.
While I'm not where my hometown is, where I worked in, it was still a lot of, like you said, resource, and you still learned a lot. And there's some programs that are statewide that you learn. I wouldn't have known how to make a CPS report without my experience as a case manager.
Right.
I wouldn't have known how to navigate the like twist system, which is what Kentucky has, because it is very confusing.
Oh, for sure.
They don't make it easy. Also, wouldn't have known like the phone number. Like I have the phone number stored in my phone for the like after hours if I needed to make it after hours.
Yeah.
There's so much. And also wouldn't know a lot of the Kentucky state laws without that. So especially the Kentucky domestic violence state laws.
Right.
So
yeah, because you're not allowed to report that now. I mean, if it's an adult.
Nope.
So, and then just boundaries that you learn. Boundaries are so important to have in any position in mental health. You learn a lot of that when you're getting in that first, because we're there because we want to help people. So I think sometimes we're not the best at setting boundaries just in general, just because we want to help and we want to be there. So you learn a lot about how to set those healthy boundaries in jobs like that.
Yeah, you learn about HIPAA too. Don't text about people. Don't text their name.
Don't do that. don't put any information in a text message that can be identifying. Don't do that.
Going back to the boundaries of what you said, like what is appropriate to talk about with clients and what is not appropriate to talk about, you know, like for example, when I was a case manager, there was a group of foster kids that lived in like one specific household, and they decided to all go through my Facebook page. And I had a lot of it blocked, but they still, like, I had majority of things blocked, so I have no idea how this happened, which probably makes me very concerned about Facebook's privacy back then. But they found a bunch of like pictures from college and was asking very personal questions about the people that were in the pictures with me. And I was like, that's all blocked. You're not supposed to be able to see that unless you're my friend.
Right.
If you go into this field, just expect something like that to happen. And maybe delete those pictures.
Yeah.
Or just delete your Facebook.
Yeah. Lock everything down.
Yeah.
100%. Because clients don't mean to. Like, we don't, they just are, they feel connected and close to you. Yeah. And they're curious. So, like, we have to be the person who's, like, teaching those boundaries. I've had clients even now add me on Facebook, and I have to have that conversation of, you know, we can't be friends on Facebook. This is a therapeutic relationship, and do it in a soft way where it's not, I don't want to be friends with you on Facebook. It's not an appropriate thing. And that protects the client, but it also protects the therapist so that you don't feel like that your personal life is being bled into by your job. Yeah, let's talk about the weekly stuff that's happened.
In pop culture world.
Can I tell my Michael Cera stuff?
Yes.
This is eating at me. This is eating at me since the beginning, since I texted you, because it just doesn't make sense. It does, but then it doesn't.
I'm going to add the picture.
Okay. Yes, add the picture, because, and Dumois posted it, which is pretty accurate a lot of the times. Shit, yeah. Her record's kind of spotty sometimes, but at Michael Cera, well, the initial, I think, story was that Michael Cera was the founder of CeraVe face skincare line. But I think that we found out that he's the ambassador?
Yeah, he's just a brand ambassador.
Which is still insane. That's still insane to me.
CeraVe.
Because it's just so random.
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Reason. I don't know if it's CeraVe or CeraVe, which Michael CeraVe. It makes sense in that sense, but nothing else about it makes sense.
Apparently, CeraVe or CeraVe, however you say it, it's like a shortened version of this specific chemical or whatever. It's
just a coincidence that it's just like a coincidence that name is Michael Cera. That's funny.
It's like ceramide something. It's like short for that. So it is a coincidence. But whoever was reached out to Michael Cera to be like, can you be a brand ambassador? Genius. Absolutely.
And will you put these 500,000 bottles of it in a bag and then pass out to the people on the street of New York?
Absolutely genius.
It's the best. Like, I don't know why that information just is so close to my heart, because I'm not a big Michael Cera fan. I only know him from Superbad. I mean, I have CeraVe stuff in my bathroom, but I'm not like, I think it's just so random. I think that's why.
It's super random, but I love it. And he's just like this. He just looks like the nicest person ever.
He does. And you know what? I'm going to start paying more attention to his skin, is what I'm going to say. We'll see how good his skin is.
Can you see him just walking up to you on the streets of New York and being like, hey, do you want a moisturizer? It would just be in the softest voice ever.
Yeah, it would be.
And his like puppy dog eyes too.
His curly hair, 100%.
I would be like, yes, thank you.
I'd be like, pass out. He'd be with Billy on the street passing out CeraVe lotions.
Can you imagine him, Billy on the street? Has he done that? Because I would love to see that, because he's so not an aggressive person, and Billy Eichner is aggressive.
It's so aggressive.
He would be like, do you know who Michael Cera is?
And they'd just be stunned, and he'd be like, oh, forget it. Take off.
And then Michael Cera would be like, okay.
He's just standing there with his little bottle of CeraVe. Oh, I love Billy on the street. What do you have? Give me your pop story of the week. Well, we have probably more than one, but tell me.
We have quite a few.
Yeah.
But let's start with the Taylor Swift AI and the stalker.
Listen, I was thinking about this when I was walking Max today, just how terrible it is. Even if I didn't love Taylor Swift as much as I do, that's a terrible thing to happen to anyone, especially a woman. Like, that's just a violation of privacy. And I just feel bad for her, because it's terrible.
And this isn't the first time something like that has happened to her.
Right.
It's the first time, I think, with AI that people have been just taking her face and doing all these horrific, I don't even know. I don't even want to talk about exactly what those pictures were, but it's not the first time that someone has used her face and her body in such a graphic way, because Kanye West did it in his famous video.
Oh, I forgot about that. He did.
Yeah. And which was absolutely
Just even more of his son in
disgusting.
the face. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I feel like that's even more because the last person to do it this publicly was him. And he's been somebody who's just consistently shamed her and put her into this really bad headspace. So it's screwed up.
It's such an invasion of privacy. And I mean, what we have to look at in 2016, it made Taylor go into hiding. This whole situation made her go into hiding. I think she's grown from that, and I don't think she'll go into hiding like that again, but I wouldn't blame her if she did, just for her own mental health of like, I'm going to do these shows, but you're not going to see me on the internet.
To kind of pull back a little bit. I'm with you. I don't think that she'll go into hiding per se, but I think that the thing that sucks the most about all of it is that she is at the height of everything right now. She's in a super seemingly happy relationship. She's at the height of her career. She's never done better. This concert is killing it. And now we're going to do this. Now we're going to bring her down. Like, I don't know.
But I mean, you see that all the time. It's just the super misogynistic thing to do of like, when a woman is doing good, we're going to A, sexualize her, and then
100%.
B, try to tear her down.
Right.
And kick her off this pedestal that she's on.
Which I'm sure that there's a lot of like male football fans who are like, oh, that's what she gets, and blah, blah, blah. But
people are disgusting. And, but a good thing about Tree Payne is, she made it unsearchable, like Taylor Swift. Unsearchable on 24X. Whatever the hell it is.
She's really out there doing the Lord's work because she works her ass off. She earns that money that Taylor, I'm sure, gives her because she is a good publicist.
Hey, it's the fiery red hair that does it.
Yeah, it takes care of business.
Yeah, you see that red hair coming at you, you're probably going to run the other direction because she will shut you down real quick. I mean, we saw that happen last month with Dumas.
Oh my God. Yeah. When she was
shut that down quick.
100%. And she did it as herself. It wasn't like Taylor's reps. No. Tree Payne came out and came against it and was like, no, we're putting an end to this right now.
In the other Taylor Swift news, the stalker that she has was arrested, and I looked it up. So he was there 3 times in 5 days, and then he finally got put in jail, but he's been there 30 times since November, and he's just now undergoing a psych evaluation.
What are we doing? What are we doing? That's not okay.
No. Why did it take essentially 33 times for this man to undergo a psych evaluation?
Not being in jail for longer than 2 seconds to where he continues to get out and go back.
Yeah, which is absolutely terrifying for her. And for the people that are out there that say her being on a private jet is doing all this damage to the earth and everything. This is Taylor Swift. If she has these stalkers showing up at her house, could you see her on a commercial flight? That would be absolute chaos. There's no way that she can fly commercial.
Same people who are like, why is she going to these football games and she's in a suite? Why can't she just be in the stands? Because she would literally get mauled in the stands.
Like, she cannot do what Kylie Kelsey does and be in the stands. I'll be shocked if Kylie will be able to do that like next year with the way that, you know,
her fame has gone up.
Her fame is going. I mean, even Jason Kelsey jumping out, that was causing chaos. There were so many security guards over there.
She would probably get hurt. I feel like that people don't really use common sense. Like, they just get mad because it's a woman who's very famous and does these things. She literally would not be able to do anything. She already can't do so much because of her fame. And I'm not saying we should feel bad for people who are famous. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying her life is not normal. So you can't expect the circumstances to be normal.
No.
You just can't.
And she deserves her fame. The talent, the hard work, everything. She deserves it. She can't even go to her friend's rehearsal dinner without coming out to thousands of people outside.
Yeah, and I'm sure she felt bad for that. I'm sure she feels like, I can't do anything. Nobody gives a flying shit if I'm on a commercial flight. They don't care. But if she steps onto a commercial flight, it's going to be, like you said, chaos. What do you expect her to do?
And you're like, what, 40,000 feet up in the air? What if chaos breaks out? 40,000 feet up in the air, what are you going to do? An emergency landing takes time. Like, you can't just
land here in the middle of the ocean.
Absolutely unhinged.
I just feel like it's not really fair, the expectations put on her to live this normal life that she literally cannot.
And I mean, just imagine the fear. I just think about like the mental health aspects of it too. And like the fear of walking out to thousands of people pointing their phones at you. And just, I mean, this is America. It's terrifying to think of like that many people being out there watching you just walk to your car.
And our gun laws aren't really tight like they could be. So who people can just have a gun, you know?
It's absolutely terrifying. And but I do know that her security does a really good job. There's like 30 security guards with her at all times. When she was in South America, they had snipers.
Yeah.
I mean, they even had it in America. They had snipers everywhere. You didn't see them, but they were there.
They were there.
They were surrounding the stadium. They were watching people very closely. If anything, I felt so safe at a Taylor Swift concert because I was like, her security is going to make sure this place is locked down tight.
I get really nervous going to big places like that. I think what really did it when I was younger and the Dark Knight movie.
Oh yeah, that was terrifying.
That spooked me. So now I have a hard time like going places. And have never felt safer at a concert than I felt at the Taylor Swift concert. I was not concerned in the least bit. And I think it was just her security, but also the people around you. There was not one person that I was like, they're being a little sus. Her fan base, her security, the whole experience was safe and comfortable. So I echo that.
She's really got it. Whoever she's hired, I feel like I've seen stuff like she's hired like Secret Service, FBI agents, some very professionally trained people watching her.
Right. So very high up people watching her. This is very random. What is your thoughts on Ariana Grande?
I love Ariana Grande's music, especially, what is that album? Sweetener. One of my favorite albums. That whole era, like she put out 2 different albums back to back, and they were so good. I really felt for her during the Mac Miller situation. Everybody at some point has their Pete Davidson era. 100%. And I also feel for her during the whole Manchester, you know, situation. That was absolutely horrific.
Right.
And for the aftermath of Scooter Braun to come out, I think there could have been a concert without Ariana having to perform. There could have been multiple people that could have come out and been like, hey, this is for the victims. But Ariana is not, if she comes out and she says something, but to make her perform was absolutely horrific because she was going through it. And she's talked about this. She had severe PTSD after that. And for Scooter to come out and just make her do that, be like, you're contractually obligated to do this. Like, that was really shitty, which shows what kind of person that man is.
We're not Braun fans.
But as of late, I will say I don't agree with the choices that she is making. We only see a portion of it. But from what we see, we've seen the wife come out and talk about it. Like Ethan's wife come out and say like, she was playing with my kid, our brand new baby. She went to dinner with us. She did this, and
it doesn't look good.
And her to kind of be like, I didn't see this coming, kind of shows where the wife stands on the situation. But I mean, if she's happy, then girl, be happy. But you did not go the right way about this at all.
You didn't blow up the whole family.
Yes, but I also see, and this is where I see people blaming her more than blaming Ethan. She gets shit on a lot more than Ethan, and I don't think her putting out this new song
didn't help anything.
It was a good idea.
Yeah,
I don't think it helped her case.
Literally the same as you. I wasn't ever a huge Ariana Grande fan, but I definitely felt for her during those traumatic things that she had been through. And when she had finally met her husband, I mean, she seemed like genuinely happy, or I guess he's her ex-husband now. She seemed happy, and I was good for her. She's been through hell. She's finally found like a stable relationship. You didn't really see a lot about them. And then for this whole thing to happen, her to divorce him, Ethan to divorce his wife, the wife coming out and talking, I'm like, I don't think you can start a relationship like that and it be, I just don't feel like that's a good foundation. I'm not saying that it can't ever work, but I'm just saying like when you start a relationship like that, that's a really hard foundation to start with because it's just not a healthy foundation.
And I think this goes into the other topic that I wanted to talk about. This goes hand in hand with LeeAnn Rhymes.
Our girl LeeAnn.
Like it's a very similar situation. But I think LeeAnn handled it very differently than Ariana. I think Ariana can take a note out of LeeAnn's book. There's a song song that LeeAnn wrote. I think it's on her album Bitfire, maybe. It's called Borrowed. And it is like such a heartbreaking song that makes you really get into like the emotions of LeeAnn during that time. It talks about how she knows that Eddie is taken and is married, but she also doesn't want to give him back to his wife. And like, it's just like the heartbreaking side of LeeAnn's story. As Ariana Grande took the approach of why are you all concerned about whose dick I ride? Like, ma'am?
Yeah. Which is not even what it's about. It's not even about that at all. In those situations and I've seen that happen where they're like, well, why do you care who I'm having sex with or whatever? It's not even, that's very surface level. It's really not about who you're having sex with. Yeah, that's part of it, but there's a lot of emotions tangled up in that. And I feel like that's more painful than just having sex with somebody. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where LeeAnn, I think, took the route of like, let me show you my emotions behind this. This is a really hard thing. And if you see LeeAnn talk about this whole situation, like she is not proud of it. Whereas Ariana coming out with this song makes it seem like she's like bragging about it and being proud of it.
It humanizes LeeAnn when she writes songs about it and when she talks about it. You can kind of see how, okay, things like this can be messy and difficult. Versus Ariana, where she comes out and she's like, it doesn't really matter. It just doesn't make her look remorseful or considerate of anybody else's feelings.
LeeAnn also, she says that she talks about her and Eddie, and we were so in love that we couldn't see anything else, and we couldn't see the hurt that we were causing the other people in our life until it was too late. Which also, in a way makes me think of, well, why was Eddie also with other girls during that time too, like Sheena? So this is where it's gonna segue into Vanderpump Rules. Thank you, LeeAnn Rhymes, for Vanderpump Rules.
Shout out to LeeAnn Rhymes, because it's been
the whole reason.
Yeah.
And people want to thank Sheena. No, we're not giving Sheena credit.
We don't thank Sheena on this podcast. We don't thank her for anything. I will thank Sheena for one thing. I will thank her for her 5-minute monologue to Tom Sandoval last season. That's what I'm thanking her for.
Yes.
The rest of it, no.
That was amazing. That was the moment that I was like, oh, Sheena's being a girl's girl. And she is...
For the first...
Yeah. For like the first time ever, Sheena is being a girl's girl and being absolutely amazing. But quickly changed after that. How LeeAnn started Vanderpump Rules, if everyone doesn't know.
Oh yeah, let's go.
We will go into this. LeeAnn Rhymes was married and went to go film this movie with Eddie Cibrian, who was married to Brandi Glanville. And Brandi Glanville is a housewife. Well, she became a housewife after this.
Beverly Hills, right?
Yes, Beverly Hills. And then she's been on the vacation one that they've just done recently. Yeah. She went out to the press and was like, my husband is cheating with LeeAnn Rhymes. After that, Sheena Shea.
Well, Sheena, what was her name before Sheena Shea?
I don't remember.
Introduced to her as Sheena Shea.
Yeah, I know. Sheena came out and was like, I'm going to embark on this time and say, I'm also having an affair with Eddie.
Knowing Sheena now is not shocking. None of that is shocking.
Girl, why are you... It's like another situation of someone bragging about being a mistress. It puts like a really sour taste in your mouth. Whereas LeeAnn was like, I don't want this. I don't want this.
Yeah.
There's the difference. Yeah, Sheena came out and was like, hey, I'm also having an affair. And Brandi essentially joined Beverly Hills. And on Beverly Hills, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Lisa Vanderpump was there. And Lisa owns a ton of restaurants. And Sheena just so happened to be working at one of the restaurants. She was not working at Sir. She was working at another restaurant at the time. But she moved over to Sir when Vanderpump started. But one of the first crossover episodes of Beverly Hills into Vanderpump Rules was Sheena and Brandi talking about Sheena's affair with Brandi's husband, Eddie. But essentially what it is, if LeeAnn and Eddie hadn't had their little affair, it's like pushing 20 years now that they've been together. Essentially, if LeeAnn and Eddie hadn't gotten together during that time and had the affair, then Sheena wouldn't have voiced her Sheena opinion and wanted her 15 minutes of fame. And then Brandi would have never joined the Housewives, and Lisa would have never met Brandi and wanted Sheena to pretty much start promoting Vanderpump Rules. So none of that situation would have happened without LeeAnn.
You got Vanderpump Rules, which has been, if you haven't watched Vanderpump Rules and you like reality TV, you need to, because it's gold.
It is gold.
They struck gold. Vanderpump.
I am the devil. Never forget it.
I love her so much. Even that season where she kind of went rogue with Patrick. I was like, Stassi, girl, bring it back. This isn't
Oh
who you
gosh.
are. We're not about this. Her and Bo are perfect.
The first season that Bo was on there and I saw them together, I was like, this is it for Stassi. Like
100%.
this is magic.
You can see the balance that
Yeah.
they have.
And even when she had her after that ice party with Ariana, because they have the same birthday, so they combined their birthday parties. Even that, when she freaked out on Bo and how he handled it with such grace. And he was like, I know you're crazy and I know you got a lot going on and you got a lot of relationship trauma, but what you're not going to do is act like that. It just kind of brought Stassi back and you could see it just kind of be like, oh, I am the problem here. Let's fix this.
And she and everybody else, if anybody else had told her that she was the problem, she was not going to listen to them.
No, because it happened so many times. It was like, Stassi, you need to calm down. And she's like, no, you need to.
It's my birthday. I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to do what I want. It's my birthday. Yeah.
And when I say he's over and I want to go to bed, Bo needs to join me. He was like, 36
times. And it shows Bo. She's like, he's just ignoring me. He's just doing this and that. And it like shows Bo and he's literally doing nothing.
He's talking. He is like sipping on his drink, talking, not ignoring her, just vibing. Doesn't have his phone.
Yeah, like she's in the bathroom screaming, throwing her phone against the sink.
And in reality, they were in the same house. She could have just walked to him. Yeah. You didn't go anywhere. You weren't 2 miles down the street. You were like 100 feet from him.
Yeah, and you could have walked down there, but you didn't want to.
You already had cameras on you. Just go ahead and go.
I'm kind of glad for her sake that she did not, because she would have been. She would have been
really unhinged in that moment. We love Stassi.
We do. She's a queen. I kind of wish she would go on the new show. I get why she's not, and I do feel like that she's kind of past that part of her life. I feel like now she just wants to focus on being a mom and her podcast and all the other stuff that she's got going on. But I'm gonna miss her on the new show. I would be more invested in the new show if she was on it. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it or not. I don't know where I stand.
I don't know. Like I said last night, I mean, we got Doute and her man, and then Brittany and Jax, and then those other people that I don't know who those other people are.
I'm so excited for the other people.
So excited for them.
That's what it should be called. It should be called like Vanderpump Cast and the other people.
I mean, Jax and Doute are such villains. I'm curious as to how it's going to go, especially with the other people. Calling them the other people. But if they are villains too, is this going to be, I mean, I didn't watch the House of Villains, which I should have because I love Johnny Bananas. But I don't know. Is this going to be a House of Villains?
I also love Johnny Bananas. I just thought I should put that there, that I also love him. First of all, Jax was gone in 2 seconds on House of Villains. But also,
I knew it.
I don't like Kristin. And I can't get past it. I haven't liked her since the beginning. I feel like that she's really messy. Maybe she's not as messy now, but even when she came back to support Ariana, I still just don't like her. I just look at her and all I can think of is cigarettes and really cheap perfume. Yeah. I just feel like that's all I see. And we now know that Miami Girl was a thing. Mm-hmm. But she was so unhinged and so messy that even if you wanted to believe her, there was no way that you were going to buy into what she was selling. I just feel like she was just a debacle.
Yeah, I hope she can get her point across now without coming off as unhinged. I know she's been in therapy, so I hope that has helped her a lot, because I think when she was the first few seasons of Vanderpump, she was so insecure and it showed so deeply that's why I think she hooked up with Jax and cheated on Tom. And then also what's come out is she cheated on Tom just as much as Tom cheated on her. It was a lot. It was a very chaotic, toxic relationship. But I think also she was in that cycle, that toxic relationship cycle that they were in, was really bringing her down. And
that's true.
When she got out of it, I feel like she was better, but then she kept getting into more toxic relationships, which is we see that with clients too. They go from one toxic relationship to another. So I hope this guy that she is with is not toxic, because when she was moving into that house, do you remember that when she was moving into that house and they were like, you're finally away from old dude? And then she got a phone call and gave old dude his like her code to
was,
her house, and they were like, "What are you
what are you
doing?"
doing? Yeah, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And she was like, we're not together, so it's fine. And I'm like,
And
he's
then
got
why did
to go to
you?
your
Why
house.
does he even know where you live?
Yeah.
I
Right,
thought he was a psycho, and you didn't want
right.
him to know where you lived. So why are you letting him in your house?
It's the same. But you're right. We see the same thing when you are in, and you know probably as well as I do, when you're in those kinds of relationships, friendships, whatever, it is so hard to see the forest from the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I said today, if people had cameras on me in my 20s, which I'm still in my 20s, my early 20s, my mid 20s, I'll probably look like a train wreck to some people. So
Yeah,
honestly,
I
like,
was a train wreck.
yeah, you got really close to the microphone. You're like, just to make it really
Just to
clear,
make it known, I was.
I was a train wreck.
Yes, but I've gotten, this is to everyone who knew me in college, I've gotten a lot of therapy myself, and I'm not that person.
The verified therapists are brought to you by two therapized therapists.
It took a lot of therapy. And
We are healed, girl. That kind of makes me have a little bit more empathy for Kristin too, just because when you are that insecure, when you're in that space, it does bleed out into everything, and maybe her therapy has helped.
yeah, I need to watch that episode that she does on Nick Vile's podcast, because she was on there. So I want to see like the change, like if I see change in her.
Yeah.
But I think number one, getting herself in like a healthy relationship, which I really hope it is. This is my hope for Kristin, is I hope she knows that she is worthy of a healthy relationship, just because of all the fucked up shit she did in her past.
Right.
She's worthy of a healthy relationship. We all are.
Yeah, 100%. Every single one of us are.
Because what I saw her constantly doing that was she did not think that she deserved to be in a good relationship.
Yeah. Well, and that's why you stay in something where there's so much cheating and infidelity. I mean, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of the times it comes back to, am I more deserving than this behavior that I'm getting?
Yeah.
And that goes for romantic relationships, but also friendships, family relationships. Is this behavior something that I'm deserving of? And when you get to a point where you're like, actually, it's not, and, I'm going to have to make some boundaries here, that's when things kind of start getting healthier. So maybe this relationship, I mean, she's been with this guy for a while now, I think. So maybe it is a healthier relationship for her.
I hope so.
I hope so, too.
And also just, early 20s relationships at times can be unhinged.
Yeah, my best friend is like, you need that one good, solid relationship to just knock you on your ass so you can come back and kind of work on yourself and get to a healthy place.
I can't imagine the healing that you would have to do from being with a narcissist for that long. And the narcissist being Tom Sandoval. So I hope Ariana, which she looks like she is thriving right now, but just the healing, the deep healing that you have to do from getting out of a relationship with someone like that and rewiring your brain too. Because there was so many times watching Vanderpump back over the seasons, because I mean, for a majority of it, Ariana and Tom were together, watching it back and being like, oh, Ariana, why did you defend him on that? He was being absolutely horrible. But she really did have those like blinders on, and we don't know what was going on behind the scenes either.
I think what happens too is you kind of, in these relationships, we end up falling for the potential of someone. And something that I will say with clients is, if nothing ever changes from the way it is today, would you be happy? Because you can sit there and you can say like, well, if he does this, this, and this, then I'll be happy, but we can't make him do this, this, and this. And so like, if things are the way that they are right now, forever, is that something that you can stay in? Because a lot of times we do find ourselves being like, we romanticize and we come up with these images in our head of like what it could be, and we get kind of stuck on that. And I think that Tom did that to Ariana some too, because I think that the kids and the marriage thing, she made that clear from the beginning that that's not what she wanted, but he stayed with her, and every time they would have a conversation, it'd be like, well, maybe you'll want kids, or maybe you'll want to get married. And I just feel like that they both fell in love with potential of the other person, and it just did not go well. It went south.
I could say the same thing. I don't know if you've ever watched How I Met Your Mother.
A little bit.
It's the same thing with like Ted and Robin, which is why I don't like the end of the show, because not to like spoil it. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't, in the 10 years since it aired, watched the season finale, like the show finale of How I Met Your Mother. But he goes back to Robin. His wife dies. it ends up like the whole show being about him and Robin and how he is telling his kids that he wants to be with Robin. So it's not even How I Met Your Mother. Like, the mother is the last.
Like, it is, and then they get to the end and they're like,
there's
the
9 seasons of the show. And then all of a sudden, it's like the last season, season 9, is how he met them.
Yeah, the whole show, it's wild.
But either way, you see over the years, like, Robin is focused on her career. She has said blatantly multiple times to Ted, I don't want marriage, I don't want kids. And then he's still just like, well, you'll want it. He still like holds out hope. And she says it at one point to him after Lily and Marshall have their baby. She's just like, you literally go after all these girls knowing that you're not going to end up with them and knowing that the end result is going to be you guys breaking up. So do you want to settle down? Because she's like, you went after me knowing I didn't want to get married and have kids. You went after this other girl and she was already married. You know, you went after all these people, which I think this segues into what we want to talk about next week. And we can talk more about it. TV shows and all of that. Anyways, I just, personally, I'm not a fan of Ted. And I think he is very toxic. He has a lot of toxic traits and he pisses me off frequently throughout the show. I see the red flags. Not a lot of other people see the red flags.
Like, but I'm a therapist. I'm trained on how to see the red flags, so I'm seeing the red flags.
Like, Ted is a walking red flag. And he gaslights all the time.
100%. We can talk about that next week and talk about kind of like, I think we're getting better, but I don't think that the media always does a great job at portraying mental health, at portraying toxic relationships, at, you know, all of these really important topics that everybody deals with. I just don't think that the media has always done a great job at doing that.
Definitely not. But then there's also some that they've handled really well.
Yeah.
Like there's some aspects of like even books showing PTSD really well. What we want our audience to do, which our audience might be 2 people, we don't know.
Are very, very, but a very important 2 people.
Very important 2 people. But we want you to send in like TV shows, movies, books, whatever that show mental health and how they've been handled, good or bad, and also relationships. We're gonna,
if you don't send them in, we're gonna come with come with them anyways. So
we've got some up our belts anyways.
Yeah.
In our up our belt? In our
up
belt?
our sleeve. Up our sleeve.
Up our sleeve? Okay.
In our belt. We've got it somewhere.
In our belt, up our sleeve, whatever it is, we got it there. So if you want to end with an intention of the week.
You know, my intention of this week is really to be present. Not always great at that. I kind of try to rush through the week and get to the weekend. But, you know, I find days that I really spend present at work and present with my clients and kind of slow down a little bit. Those are kind of the best days that I have. So I think that's my intention this week. Be more present in what I have going on and not get lost in just the routine of it all.
That's a good one.
What's your intent for the week?
What is it? What if I go with something like completely opposite of you?
Do it.
My intention for the week is actually follow like my healthy Whole30 diet.
Yes.
Because that's literally the only thing that makes me feel energized throughout the week and like able to function.
That's some good self-care, you know?
It is.
Discipline.
The Whole30 diet has helped me. It's not for everyone, but it works well for me.
I'll be your accountability partner. I'll be like, are you following your Whole30 diet this week?
You shall see.
Yeah.
So
I have faith in you. You'll do great.
Thank you for tuning in with us. We will see you at the next episode.
Yeah, whenever that is. We're figuring this all out. So stay tuned.
We will figure it out.
Follow our Instagram page to figure it out.
We'll post it. We'll post everything there.
Yeah, we'll post everything there. Everybody have a good week though.
Bye.